It's going to be a slave state control grid where you are taxed to breathe, where you have actual cameras in your homes. And it doesn't even have to be somebody in the government that's looking at you. This is happening now in the United Kingdom. Internet Eyes is taking on the general populace, saying they're going to give them cash prizes to stop and fight crime. Because the real statistics are that even though there are, I believe it's, 14,000 cameras out there, one for every 3 people in the United Kingdom. No, it might be one in every 14 people. I'm sorry. But the average person in London is recorded 300 times a day. Yeah, it solves 1 in 1,000 crimes. So now they're using that as a push, as an excuse to have people watch and tattle privately. And these CCTV cameras are now being brought into homes, inside homes, for quote-unquote sin bin families, the worst of the worst. The worst of the worst, folks. They always use the worst example first to encroach on your freedoms, get you acclimated, get you used to it, and then pull the trigger and do it to the rest of us. That's what this system is. And it's going to be cute and funny, and a lot of us will already be acclimated because we'll have the latest Xbox controller, which is hooked into the internet via Xbox Live, is a body scanner, has voice recognition, and essentially will distribute information over the internet. Oh, I trust Microsoft. I trust Google. Why is Google working with NASA? Have you seen Google Earth lately? Have you seen the massive amounts of information that are openly available to the public? Can you imagine what the military programs are like? And again, this will only aid them in their slave grid. All right, I'm going to start taking callers. 888-201-2244. I'm going to get into some of these articles in the next decade. I hope to become more radical. A Decade of Self-Delusion by Pat Buchanan. That one's really profound. Digging Out or Digging Deeper. Welcome to the Multipolar Century. And many more, all dealing with this quote-unquote New World Order. All right, let's go to our first caller. Let's go to Michael in Florida. Michael, you're on the line.
Hey, Jason.
Hey, how you doing, buddy?
Good. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
I wanted to say a couple things. First off, I was at a very special place New Year's Eve. Second off, I want to say something about Illuminati symbolism.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Okay, well, first of all, New Year's Eve, I was at Janet Reno's house. Janet Reno.
Really? You were at Janet Reno's house. How did you get to do that?
Oh, well, my mom's friend, she knows a lot of politicians, and she's actually her godmother, I believe.
Okay.
And Janet Reno, she I didn't really get to ask her about anything, but she was nice. And her niece is actually in We Are Change, and she's a truther.
Really? And how'd you find that out?
Well, I was talking, and I said that I'm part of We Are Change, and I like INFOWARRIOR, Alex Jones, and Jason Bermas, and she goes, really, me too? And we started talking about 9/11, and she just looked at my YouTube videos that I make, and I just thought, and I was going to maybe next time I see her, ask her if she supported a new 9/11 investigation, and, like, if she did, film her saying it and, like, put it on YouTube or something.
Well, that would be great, buddy. Well, that's just nice to know that you're in someone's home and you're talking to their relative. And let's face it, Reno is no saint. I remember Alex Jones, I believe, confronting Janet Reno in the Police State series. And boy, is that if you haven't seen that one, you've got to see that one, Michael. But that is intense, and, just keep it up. And even if, what you should have done is just left like a copy of Loose Change around or an Endgame at the Reno house and see if they came across it, or even one of the Police State ones where Jones actually confronts her. I think that would have been great. But if you get that opportunity, pull it off again. Hey, I appreciate the call, Michael. Keep it up. It's always great to have these young truthers. I mean, this kid's 13 years old. He's confronting his teachers. He's making YouTube videos, and he's at Janet Reno's house. I mean, that is top notch. And again, everybody out there can do something. You don't necessarily have to have a radio show. You don't have to be good at burning DVDs. Get educated and then get active. And you would be surprised how much of a change that you can make in the world. Just you. Great people out there do little things. They didn't just start by being great. No, they did a lot of little things on the way up. And so many great people out there have never really been acknowledged for as much as they've done. Do you think Martin Luther King Jr. did it on his own? The forefathers didn't do it on their own. There was a lot of great soldiers out there. The civil rights movement didn't happen by itself. So a lot of people have to get out there. And now is a crucial moment. As they further gut this economy, as they speak of a jobless recovery again and again on CNN and MSNBC and Fox News, it's time to stand up and fight this Orwellian mindset, this system of control. It's the InfoWarrior with Jason Bermas. We'll be back after this. Infowars.com, PrisonPlanet.tv. We are back. It's the InfoWarrior with Jason Bermas. Before I go back to calls, 888-201-2244. I want to read this article. In the next decade, I hope to become more radical. And again, this really essentially is a leftist, a mainline liberal, a well-meaning idiot talking about the New World Order and how great it's going to be and how we have to work towards one. Now, he gets a lot of things right. He talks about how we were lied to in the 90s. Here, let me just read some of it to you. President Bush Sr. triumphantly announced in 1991 that a new world order was coming into view, in which the principles of justice and fair play will protect the weak against the strong. I mean, that's laugh out loud funny. And freedom and humanity will find a home among nations. Enduring peace must be our mission. As the world was entering a new century of supposed peace and prosperity, I was hitting my half century, a point of some pride and much foreboding. So this guy's saying, look, in the 90s, I was just becoming 50. Everything sounded great. But we are the strong nation. We are the oppressors. So Bush was really talking out of both sides of his mouth. He says a global civil society of multinational corporations as well as international and non-governmental organizations were to create a transnational solidarities necessary to protect against global risks. Now, what he doesn't understand is a lot of that was created. We do have a multinational corporation system running not only this country but the world. Now, it's the same old elites behind these corporations. It's the same people like the Rothschild family, the Rockefeller dynasty out there. They're the ones that are openly writing about world government, okay? So they've actually been able to achieve a lot of this. He even talks about the WTO, the IMF imposed globally a model of euphemistically known as the Washington Consensus. And the WTO and the IMF have only gained power in this new world order system. This is another reason we don't want it. We don't want bankers dictating to us how we have to live our lives and what taxes we have to pay to them from a system where they create the money. They create the money. It's not backed by anything. And right now, I forgot about this headline, but I've got to find it. Maybe you guys could pull this up and print it for me. The UN is now talking about coining their own gold and silver pieces because they see the writing on the wall that people want a currency that is not fiat. So they figure, you know what, why don't we force a lot of these people that don't like the United Nations, that don't like the Council on Foreign Relations, that don't like the Trilateral Commission, to buy our gold and silver because we know that this currency is only going to go up in value. One, because it is based in silver and gold, and two, because we promote global governance. There's a reason why the euro is pretty high on the economic food chain, because it promotes global governance. That's why. Now, he goes on to say, it promises a morally guided legal and institutional framework, the weakening, if not abolition of the state form, and the strengthening of international institutions and civil society. And then he says, if this was a new world order, it was the shortest in history. He doesn't see how this transcends the first Bush, that transcends Bill Clinton. It transcends Bush's son. It even transcends the current administration and Barack Obama. Period. All right, let's continue with your calls. Let's go to Axton in Canada. Axton, you're on the line.
Hey, Mr. Bermas, how are you doing tonight?
Good.
Thanks for taking my call. I remember Alex last week, he was talking about forging new intentions, rededicating yourself to the InfoWar, and I just want to bring some attention to my own scout ship in the fleet. I'm not sure if anyone out there has checked out statismwatch.ca. But if people wanted to go check that out, that'd be awesome because I put a lot of work into it. And
what can people find there?
Yeah, you can find a kind of a laser beam focus on Canadian news as well as international news. I'm kind of like borrowing Alex's process and trying to post all this stuff up there, link it up, and expose the New World Order in my own way.
All right, throw it out one more time, buddy.
Yeah, that's statismwatch.ca. And if people wanted to come in, help me out, get admin status, then I could dedicate myself to doing more original writing, too. And I also want to talk to you.
Okay, go ahead. What else? What else you got for me? Quick.
Have you heard of this Tim Burton film 9?
I have heard of 9. I haven't watched it yet, but I'll talk about it on the other side. It's basically about the end of humanity, and these robots are roaming the earth in this post-apocalyptic world. But a lot of these cartoons for kids are now post-apocalyptic.